Dare told me about this. They trained me. Just say no.
Just say no. Just say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today is the day. Do it. Peer pressure. Just swing it.
Finish the thing. I got a thing. I got a thing for the thing.
Oh, Jesus. Today is the day that you have long been waited for because you watched Starcrash. What is that from?
All of his movies.
So, me, Mike Vanderpool, the unroyal we, whoosh, Dr. Alan Barris, and Michael, the KG1 Clink, are here today to talk about Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage films as kind of like foreplay. We just watched Community episode 7, season 5, episode 2, just the Nick Cage bits where Abed takes a class, Nick Cage, good or bad, hijinks. And now here we are.
Hi, Dan Harmon.
The start of season. What season is this for us? Season 6?
20.
Well, right now, I think the whole idea of season numbers is going to get thrown out the window just because it's too hard to keep track. This is the Nick Cage season. This episode 1 of the Nick Cage season. This is Nick Cage spreading his legs and giving us his filmography. Speaking of spreading legs,
Anyway.
Did you see the Madonna NFT?
No.
Did you see that, Alan, yet?
What?
So Alan hasn't vocalized anything yet. He's like, I don't know if I want to be involved in this.
Oh my
God. Madonna and a artist did a 3D rendering that is her in the birthing position, naked, full lips exposed, and a tree growing out of her vajayjay.
Oh my.
And then blossoming into flowers, which becomes her vajayjay.
I never thought the sex book would be seen as the tasteful part of my career.
Well, it is a soft focus when it starts, a little depth of field, so you can't see the...
Nowadays, Madonna?
Well, I think that the CGI might have de-aged her.
Oh, so it's not like a photograph. It's like...
No, it's 3D, it's 3D art.
Oh, I thought it was like a, 3D scan of her.
It might be, who knows how they made it. But I guarantee her vagina doesn't look like that.
God.
Did I ever tell you guys that Madonna ruined my possibility of ever looking at a sunset ever again?
What?
Because one of the best lines from the aforementioned sex book, which my roommate from college had, and we had readings of, at least one point when the power went out, we needed to entertain ourselves. I was walking across the quad. I saw a beautiful sunset, and all I could think of was, the sky was the color of pussy. Which is a real line from the sex book. A real line.
The world must have been more boring back in the day before the internet. I barely remember it.
It's still boring at Notre Dame.
Oh, dang, shots fired.
Except for the parts that left it and started ruining our country.
So we are here today to try to get through a Nick Cage season. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this because Nick Cage may drive us all crazy. But we're starting out this episode with the 1986 film Peggy Sue Got Married. I don't even want to call the film Peggy Sue Got Married. I'm not even going to call it.
It's a Francis Ford Coppola joint. So yeah, it's a film.
That my position on this is it's not a movie.
It is an experience. It is something that we all experience that was recorded.
What's a movie then?
A movie, I'm going to argue, is something that follows a traditional formula and has conventions within the arc of its story that group it together. So I don't fucking know what I'm saying. It's not a movie.
How is this not a movie?
Because the story is...
It isn't very strong on plot, which is fine. I mean, neither technically is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I love it. But it has that same kind of, we're just here watching crazy stuff happen kind of feel. Except it's not gonzo at all. It's very subdued, except when Nick Cage wanders into the scene wearing all white or having a white or having a blonde pompadour.
bracelets wrapped around his sweater sleeves.
Like an utter psychopath. I didn't look into how this movie was reviewed. I actually really liked it, but I don't think I'm actually reliable as a subject for 1986 movie audiences.
It did well. I think if I remember looking at Wikipedia, the budget was 18 million and made 41 at the box office. I think it had good critical reviews. I just think this is more of a story that you would read or a stage play that you would watch and experience versus...
It actually does have a stage play kind of feel to it, actually. I could see that.
Wait,
And there's-
we've seen movies that were set up as stage plays.
But
those are better. But this is better. I know. Those are good.
but there's this idea.
I can't say there's any shots that really jump out at.
Oh, there were a lot for me.
Like visually?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
There are mirror shots. Like the very, very beginning of shot
yeah.
with the mirror where they're going backwards. And there's an actress with her back to us. And Kathleen Turner has her front to us. And then they did the same thing, I think, towards the end of the film, too, with the mirror shots. And there are a couple of times where there are mirrors in the way, but you couldn't see anything because they had multiple actors.
The cinematography very much makes this a film. I'm saying that, and maybe this is me being dumb, the story is weird and not connected enough. Maybe it's because it's a low concept film. You know, high concept is means everybody gets it. The story's so simple for everybody to understand.
Elevator pitch. This is my movie.
Yeah.
It's X crossed with X.
This isn't
Die Hard in a hotel. There.
There are so many weird things within the story that don't get resolved, don't get set up.
Yeah.
It's just odd. It is honestly, I'm going to say this. It's like a piece of art that you have to kind of walk around and look around in to try to fully understand what's going on.
That's a good thing, then.
Which is why it's not which is why I think it's not what
Which reinforces the interpretation of this movie as being a dream.
Yeah. Well,
Because it does have a certain level of dream.
yeah. But there's only one really
Obviously weird.
Yeah.
Except for Nick.
It's cool. But there's only one part where it's not a dream then.
Well, let's
Weird.
we'll get to that. Let me set up what this is first, right? So 1986, Peggy Sue Got Married is a film about I can't remember her name. We should probably have her names. What's Kathleen Turner? What's her name?
Kathleen Turner.
No, in the movie.
Peggy Sue.
Yeah, Peggy Sue. This movie.
Hey, Vanderpool.
She got married.
This podcast brought to you by Too Much Bourbon. Peggy Sue is a 40-ish year old person who's getting ready to go to her 25th year high school reunion. We're given information that she is estranged from her husband, not yet divorced, but getting divorced.
Yes.
To Crazy Charlie,
Bodell.
who is played by the one and only Nicolas Cage, our reason for being here today. And they go to the 25th anniversary student reunion, whatever they call that thing.
In class reunion.
Class reunion.
He's had too much to drink.
And then, well, there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's all coming.
Not a lot.
There is so much going on in this movie.
There's stuff going on, but not a lot.
It just isn't momentous. It's
Peggy Sue at the reunion is confronted with a whole bunch of characters from her past, also her soon-to-be ex-husband, and she is elected queen.
One of the best appearances ever in film history. The only one that probably beats it is when it's De Niro, if I remember right, who enters in Mean Streets. One of Scorsese's first movies. He enters the bar with two women on his arms and Jumpin' Jack Flash is playing. And it's slow-mo. Or at least a little bit slow. And in this, oh man, it's almost as good.
So Nick Cage as Charlie Bodell comes in to the reunion. Cast of characters is all really introduced there in like a 5-minute span.
Yep.
Then Peggy Sue is elected the queen of the class reunion, stands up in front of everybody, passes out, falls over, wakes up 25 years previous in 1960, knowing what she knows now as a 40-ish-year-old person, hijinks, rethinks her life, redoes some things, does some things she wanted to do in the past, then decides kind of that she misses her kids and wants to go back to the future. There's one other Back to the Future reference in this. I don't know if you picked it up. I think I might win this one. And then, long story short, her crazy grandfather's moose lot does a time travel.
I have a lot to say about that. A lot.
And then at the end, spoiler alert, Peggy Sue wakes up in present time and everything is okay.
She had a bit of a panic attack and almost like a midlife crisis type conniption.
Okay.
So then she's come to terms with that through her dreaming about her younger self.
So,
except for the one thing at the end, which we'll talk about.
So, time travel movie, but not really.
Exactly. I don't know.
Yeah. It did give me some feel of Somewhere in Time. I know we talked about doing that during the time travel season. Somewhere in Time isn't like a machine-driven or magic-driven time. It's human thought-driven time travel, which this feels like it could have been similar. Some of the musical choices during the slower, more dramatic bits remind me of Somewhere in Time as well.
Yeah.
So lots of crazy stuff in this. Jackie, my wife, she says this. This literally goes nowhere. There's no point. That was Jackie's summation.
He is correct, but she is also wrong. But she is also correct.
You tell her that, Alan.
Hey, I had her in class. I could tell her that she's a little bit lower, a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
Did you know 25 years in the past for now is 1997?
That's so wild. You're so fucking old. Good God.
I'm helping.
You're helping.
I'm helping.
Alan, I thought there was something really cool at the very beginning of this. We've talked about, I got it right here, the David Sirota Back to Our Future book. This really does, I think, because the senior year was 1960, so coming out of the 50s.
Very specifically the end, and this is figured as sort of the transition point. It's still really the 50s, but there's just enough of the 60s in here to give it a little bit of spice. There's just a little bit of Jack Kerouac showing up and that sort of thing, just to contrast with Hemingway in this.
Which Hemingway, the story of Old Man and the Sea, plays I think a pretty big part in this. But it's comparing that 50s style. And we see this right at the reunion because Peggy Sue is wearing a 1950s style dress. And then we get to the reunion in 1986, 85. And what everyone wearing is so fucking god awful. Yes. That 80s, mid-80s style.
Yes.
But that's like, it was so, and they were kind of making fun of and poking her for being in a costume where what she wore was, I'm going to argue, more timeless than the frilly, frothy nonsense of what they.
She looked great.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if there is how much of that 80s versus 50s looking back and saying, hey, 50s.
It's definitely all over this. I mean, from the beginning of from the title selection. I mean, it is a nostalgia film. And again, there 1960s very specifically picked to be the weird. It's still the 50s, but not kind of. So
it was interesting though, because I was thinking about this versus Back to the Future. Back to the Future had obviously 55, so 5 years earlier, but it painted the 50s in that era as super clean and super nice and fun.
Well, except for Biff,
but
who is apparently an anomaly in every timeline.
Yeah. But this, it seemed like everything was bad and backwards and horrible and just bland. I got that feeling like Peggy Sue just did not like.
I would say it's probably a more realistic depiction because there's a mix. There's a really great scene in this that we got to talk about later on, which sets up her encounter with her grandparents. It's when her grandmother calls.
Oh yeah.
Like that is some heavy shit. Mm-hmm. Like right there, it's like dead person's calling me. This is messed up. That's when she fully realizes that this is serious. The earlier moment that is less serious is when her dad buys the Edsel. And she just breaks down laughing because she knows it's going to be an utter failure. This is another example of her dad making a bad decision. So,
well, so if we go back to the beginning of the film, right? And after Jackie said, I fell asleep the first time trying to watch it. Jackie stayed up and watched it.
Surprise.
it is slow.
And Jackie makes a comment. So with the second time when I watched it this morning, I was looking for, okay, what is this film setting up for the main character? And there's two things that are articulated at the beginning. One, she has unresolved feelings about Charlie.
Yeah, that's the main plot.
Yeah. And then she specifically says that she wishes she could go back knowing what she knows now.
Yeah.
And that very much is when she's back in time, it is with that full understanding of what it's like to be a 45-year-old female in the 1980s.
Yeah, yeah.
She leapt into herself.
Yes.
Yep. And knowing, of course, she passes on to the class genius, Richard, a lot of stuff about the present.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, I don't know if we resolved that.
So that's where I think it's a dream, because if not, she is just messed up the timeline. Like, I was hired to arrive super early. Yeah. Like microchips and pantyhose and oh crap, what else was there? There was a bunch of stuff. She's had to write it all down. Like, no.
Well, she was like, you were good. I think near the end when she decides. So at the end, she's not keeping this thing a secret. At the end, she's telling people about going back and whatever. Even throughout, she's talking
again. Don't do that.
Yes.
But tell your grandpa and his lodge of weirdos. That was almost know what's going on.
Yes.
Awesome.
The when she's leaving the guy who is becoming rich and successful, with that information, she said, well, you invented this stuff anyway, or you figured this stuff out on your own anyway. She makes that comment.
Yeah, so that's more the bootstrap paradox, like we talked about before, where you go back in time to meet somebody or to do something and find out that you're the one who is that person who invented that thing. So then your future self goes back in time to do the same thing, and it's just a loop.
Yeah, like the stopwatch in somewhere.
But the problem with that is that Charlie is a piece of shit. And
Yeah.
he is only slightly better.
No, he's not that
Smooth.
No, he's not.
Slightly. He at least can maintain the appearance of being slightly changed.
When they come back at the end, though, it's only like we get 2 minutes
Right.
of this hour and 30-minute film, and we don't even get any real information that anything's different.
And it depends on our interpretation of this movie as to whether this is the most depressing movie in the world or just a little bit depressed.
So the reason why I think this is a dream, except for one part at the end, is the grandparents scene. The whole thing with the lodge, because
It is very much wish fulfillment.
yeah,
But I love the lodge scene so much I want it to be real.
but
He looks like the hats. I love everything about that.
I think I wrote that down. Else was going to like
So,
the hat.
full disclosure, I am a Minerval level member of the Ordo Templi Orientis. That is Scientology's magical organization. And they're not Scientologists. L. Ron Hubbard stole things from Aleister Crowley anyway.
so you're a proto-Scientologist?
No, they suck. They stole our stuff. Anyway, so we used to meet. I was associated with a group in Boston, and we used to meet at the Oddfellows Lodge. And the Oddfellows Lodge and their stuff looked like this movie. It was so great. It's like the Oddfellows mastered time travel, and they've been sitting around for all this time just waiting for magical Peggy Sue to show up. It's great. Mary Sue, Peggy Sue, in this case, it's about the same thing. They've been waiting for her to show up. And it's great. Their outfits are stupid, just like the Oddfellows at any fraternal organization when it comes right down to it.
And the hats are all different.
And this is John Carradine's last movie role.
Really?
He's the Grand Poobah.
Yeah. Wait. That's not the grandpa. The grandpa was another stuff.
No. It's not the grandpa. He's the Grand Poobah of the organization.
The guy that was standing up at the altar.
He was the one who was actually speaking the.
Yeah, well.
Oh, and by the way, there is an altar which is in the center, and I'm not revealing any organizational secrets. This is well established. There is an altar that they're mixing something on the altar at the beginning, and there's a bell that rings. It's a bellhop style bell, which makes it different from actual occult organizations. But a ringing of a bell on an altar is a big part of the Gnostic Mass.
Are we going to get whacked?
I can't wait to start a religion for a cult.
Well, apparently it's easy. You just need robes and a hat and go to Boston.
Well, you also need a person to write the ceremony who is like half really good at it and then half really terrible at it.
By the way, audio people, we're pointing at Al. We're both pointing at Al.
Yeah, and I can write some bad poetry too. Aleister Crowley is a terrible poet. He was a great ritual writer, but terrible at actual poetry.
Because and I'm circling back and getting away from that because we'll get there. At the beginning, she specifically says, this is a quote I have, "If I knew then what I know now." She specifically says that.
I mean, we've all said that.
Oh yeah, I mean, that is kind of like my question, if we want to take an hour later, is if you could go back, what would you change?
I'd give my junior year English teacher a 5.
What would you change?
She was either on the drink or on the pills, but anyway.
Oh, should have banged her.
No.
I don't know.
I would. What I'm going to say is going to be lame. I would just be better with my money. That's all I would like. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I'd be like, "Don't waste your money."
Lame.
I know.
Well,
I know.
Are we going back like inside our bodies like Peggy Sue? Because I would just enjoy my youth again of being younger.
Yeah.
Lame.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't care. I have fun.
Horrible question. So we didn't even tell people what this podcast is. Because you watch Starcrash. This, we do quotes, WTF moments. We talk about a lot of things. Nick Cage being the main one here.
There's cocaine in the 80s. Spoiler alert.
Is that how you cut cocaine?
With a,
It felt like they were like tapping the thing for a
Well-
long time without actually like making lines.
I don't do it, but I've seen it a lot on TV and movies.
Yeah, same.
And they use a credit card, but not like that was just really sloppy.
And let's just get on record. I'm pretty sure Jim Carrey knows how to cut.
Yes.
Love you, Jim.
Try this year, anti-vax.
Well, Jim Carrey was actually really good in this. I mean, he wasn't over the top crazy. There was that one thing where they just like
He does exactly what he needs to do.
but he was good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the class clown. And ironically, he is more restrained than any other role I've ever seen.
Yeah. And it's at the height of his, well, not the height, but it's round, I mean, color. So he's known as a comedy actor. So you think he would have pumped it up a couple notches, but he didn't, which was good.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah.
This movie does one thing better than I've seen, I think, any other movie do, and that is introduce 20, 15 characters within a 5-minute period, and they are all so distinct, and they're all so memorable. I've never seen that before. And yeah, we do get them reinforced because those are all people at the reunion who end up becoming the people that we see when Peggy goes back in time, air quotes. I was just
With
like,
Back to the Future, this is the town that nobody escapes. So, yeah.
I mean, but it was just amazing. Because even in Back to the Future, we get 5 characters at the beginning, kind of, sort of. 6.
Yeah.
This has got a ton.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey being one. Helen Hunt being another character. Kathleen, not Kathleen Turner. Who's the other? Dagnabbit.
Her friend with the glasses that's married?
No, the other one that's doing coke with Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah. That lady.
Who's been in everything, including Razor's Edge, or the Razor's Edge, which is Bill.
She was the hot mom of Next Door in 8 days a week.
Yes. Who is that?
Hold on.
Catherine Hicks.
Yeah, Catherine Hicks.
Oh,
It was Joan Allen.
Who's Jillian from Star Trek 4.
yeah.
So,
That's true.
Oh, there we go. Time travel season, which that's out now. If you haven't heard, the guy from '70s show, Pinciotti, the dad of Donna's dad is in this. I mean, there's just up and down and left and right.
Leon Ames was in it. That's the grandfather.
Yeah.
I just know him from the old 50s Westerns and stuff.
tons and tons and tons of characters that I'm surprised usually don't get away with it. But I think the visual storytelling here is phenomenal.
I will say this and Back to the Future have taught me that if you're white and upper middle class, the 50s were a great time. This was a fantastic time. If you were any other class or any other race, it was a horrible time. But yeah, this is nice. They got a nice house. They got brand new cars. And
Clink, I think you've just settled on why the 1980s were so fixated on that time. Or let me rephrase. The white part of the 1980s were so fixated on this time.
It's very similar. Think about Adventures in Babysitting. Think about Animal House. The only African Americans in those are performers on stage or people in a bar.
that was in this movie.
Yeah. I don't even know
I just realized that.
if there are any black kids in the school. I gotta remember. None that says anything.
I do not recall.
Where are they? What state?
Do we get that?
I don't think we got. It's somewhere out west because they eat outside. They have their lockers outside. Their cafeterias pretty much outside.
I assumed California as a default.
So then it would have been desegregated then by the 60s because 58 was when that went through. So
Well, culturally, things last a while.
yes, and that's why you had 1964 was the last day of desegregation in the South, which is messed up.
I loved the soundtrack of this movie.
Yeah,
And doo-wop, I'm going to argue, is the greatest musical
it's good stuff.
thing.
It is great.
Go ahead and naysay.
It is great. But I love Buddy Holly. I mean, come on. You don't have this movie without Buddy Holly.
It was awesome that we get the song Peggy Sue over the opening credits, which is by Buddy Holly. And I couldn't help but think of Leaving Las Vegas, another Nick Cage film, where we don't get the Sheryl Crow Leaving Las Vegas song. Thank God. That would have ruined that movie. But this one, it made it. I thought it was really cool. The opening title sequence was great too. You know how we kind of poo-poo some of those older movies and the title sequences being kind of lame and boring for words flying in.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, if it was the length of this one or the fact that I was noticing and being, look at that name, like Jim Carrey, like if that was part of it. Because it was just words on the page, but the style, the font, all of the choices there at the beginning of the title sequence were pretty spot on.
And opposite of that was the end credits, where it felt like it was a TV movie, maybe a TV movie with the end credits going up. Like it looked really hokey and bad, which is really interesting because, the beginning credits were fine. Yeah.
It ran out of money at the end.
I guess so.
Was this the movie that I was reading about where Coppola had to finish within so many days, or if you'd have went over, the studio would have ended up with final cut?
Oh,
I think I read
that. Sounds like a lot of studio things.
So I don't know if this is true or not, but they were working like 20-hour days to get this thing done.
I could see that. There is some detail here, so
the cinematography is awesome. I know I already said that, but like just that mirror shot, I noticed there was a lot of moving camera shots which take time to get right.
Yeah. She is very much irresponsible with the past. She's more irresponsible with the past than Biff having the almanac in Back to the Future 2. She is that irresponsible.
See, that's why I admire her, because she is being like McCoy and just saying, what?
Prime Justice rules and I am the marshal.
Fuck you, Prime Directive.
And the problem is, if this is not a dream, if she's actually in the past.
She's totally screwed up the future.
She screwed up the future and also screwed up her children's lives, possibly.
Well, considering that she was kind of resigned to them not existing for at least a good half, I think she wasn't really thinking deeply about it. It was more like she was in the moment rather than really thinking more in her future self. But after she sees her grandparents, especially, that's when she gets the big, oh, crap.
Yeah.
I gotta make a decision here.
That and getting the her necklace, that was huge. I mean, we saw that at the end. At the beginning, they make a big deal of the necklace that she's wearing and whether or not it opens. And there's what do they call that?
It's a locket.
The locket.
Yeah.
And it's got the picture of her two kids. She's given that at the end of the film by
Charlie.
By Charlie.
Yeah. Because
from her mother.
at the beginning, it was from Charlie too.
And he claims it is them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, it's our baby
yeah.
picture.
As
Yeah,
babies.
and the beginning in the reunion, they said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you showed the whole school that when you got it from Charlie."
Right.
So that was, and then at the end is when that happened, which she apparently didn't want to go through conceiving her children again, so that's when she left. Right after that locket, because that's when we get that her take.
To be fair, Charlie, come on.
She still loves Charlie, though. Hell, she still loves Charlie, but it's Nick Cage.
Kind of tolerates.
Charlie, we see Charlie at he's the first thing we see in this movie through the television show. He's the commercial he's doing.
His own incredibly racist commercial.
Oh, why? I didn't pick that up.
He's doing it, that he's, you'll note that he's referred to as Crazy Charlie later on. He's doing like a really, really terrible, like fake Asian.
Yeah. You didn't get that? He was chopping things and chopping prices and haha. Now, wasn't it fortune cookies he was fitting or something?
That sounds okay.
Pretty obvious.
So we get that at the very beginning, the opening shot of the camera looking at a TV. And then that's a shot that is pulling back to the back of the head reveal.
Which was really good.
And then so we see Charlie there, but then all we get about Charlie is from primarily the conversation that Peggy Sue has with her daughter, who's helping her get ready for this thing, who's actually her date for the class reunion. And then it's set up that Charlie's not going to show up to the class reunion. They get to the class reunion, even other people are asking, where's Charlie? He's not coming. Then we get Peggy Sue dancing with the rich nerd who has a wife, and there's nothing weird that's going on there.
Yeah.
Richard, yes. Rich nerd, Richard.
No, is that what?
Rich nerd Norvik.
Yeah.
That's
And then Peggy Sue's dancing. She's happy. All of a sudden, her gaze looks up, and there is Charlie in his great white backlit glory. Now, at the top of the stairs. How he got to the top of where those stairs were, who knows?
I absolutely hate Charlie. I hate him with the fire of 1,000 suns.
Oh my goodness.
He's terrible. And I want to be him. So
There, yeah.
dumb suit. I'm like, oh, that is so great. I would love to have that suit.
He's very much Miami Vice in a 80s sitcom world.
Yeah.
Primarily from the attire.
He's this weird, like, blonde, creepy Elvis knockoff who is incredibly self-centered. I mean, like, totally ridiculously self-centered. And again, I don't think there's any growth for him in this movie. I don't think he actually learned anything.
wait.
Still kind of shitty.
If we're going for the dream state, no, he didn't learn anything because he's a dream.
Right.
If we're going through she actually went back in time, he kind of did. But then at the end, she asked about Janet, and he goes, "I got sick of translating everything." So that tells us that she's
the line about younger Janet that I had to write down because, again, it is
so many notes. You just keep scrolling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she thought the Big Bopper was a hamburger.
Yes,
Yeah. It's like, oh, you kids not knowing who the Big Bopper is. How stupid are you?
There's two quotes that I pulled out that I think really define Charlie. There's one where younger Charlie, this is back in time, Charlie says to Peggy Sue, quote, "I will be happy if I have you. Not if we're together." Possession, right?
The whole time, though, like, he goes over to pick up Peggy Sue for their date at the party, and the father walks him over and talks to him about her.
Yes.
Like, so it's that old, thing where, the men run the thing and the women are just in the back.
Oh, yeah, it's the asking for your daughter's hand thing.
And Charlie, when I think the first interaction in the past is Charlie sucking her blood and sucking the life out of her. Not in a good way. This next time they get together is the next morning where he picks her up. He leans in to kiss her. She says that she has a headache.
Yeah.
And Charlie just floors it, backs out, squeals the tires like a douchebag. Jackie said something to me there, and I can't remember. I think we were talking about emotional abuse, and I told her that I was going to tell you that, and I'm going to butcher this whole fucking thing. God damn it. That she would know about emotional abuse.
Loads.
We love you, Jackie. Then there's one other line.
Let's hope you're a little less self-centered than Charlie here. I got some choice lines.
I'm learning. But then there is another line, and this is really telling too, because some of the dialogue and everything is quick that you don't pick up unless you actually look at it. I don't remember where this happened, so maybe you guys can remember, but Peggy Sue says, no, it wasn't Peggy Sue that said this. Somebody that she's interacting with in the past says, what if you fell into the hands of some madman who wants to manipulate your brains? And Peggy Sue just quickly, that's why I'm getting a divorce.
Yeah, it was Richard, and he was telling him about the future, and then he said, we got to be careful with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's when that line, I had that written down.
Yes.
That's a good line. Yeah, that's a good line.
You're welcome. I stole that.
So, the later Charlie lines, I had a miserable time tonight because of you.
Yeah.
All right. No. No, Charlie. That's bad. Let's see. When the monotones did Book of Love Chapter 4, you break up. Won't you give it one more chance? I'm thinking, did we break up? Did we break up? Because if we did, I don't even know. Oh, God, will someone keep the cocaine away from this, man? No, in real life.
That was good because, you're a teenager, you think everything like music's the world, and then you just take what little itty bitty bits
Yeah.
and then put it to that. So when you're having an argument and you're younger, you have no other thing to pull from, so you can just pull song lyrics. You think it's deep and you think you're being very good, and no.
Well, and it fits Charlie, too, as a
Yeah.
There are deep musicians out there. I've met several of you. But some are not. And Charlie is unfortunately probably representative of a lot of the class. No one treats Charlie Bodell like this, and then he gets scolded for referring to himself at third.
Yes, I wrote that down too. That was good.
What's like it's Charlie Bodell and Dr. Doom. Villain.
Speaking of music, music is obviously a huge part of this film. The soundtrack, everything. There's references to Dion and the whatever they are. What is this? Did you guys pick up what song it was that's playing when Charlie gets introduced? Charlie's entrance? Because they're at the class reunion.
I don't remember.
Oh, I forgot. No, because it kind of faded out a little bit because she's having her panic attack / being nostalgic /
I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. But right before Peggy Sue passes out, she is standing on the stage. Everyone is kind of looking at her. She looks horrible, by the way. Like her makeup throughout this whole thing, and we have to think that's intentional. Her makeup throughout this whole thing is perfect. She's beautiful throughout the whole thing. When she's standing on stage and gets the award, she looks rough.
Well, yeah, it's probably supposed to sell the whole thing of, panic attack, heart attack, whatever else is going on.
But right before that, the character Richard, the nerd who's become ultra successful in the tech industry, was picked on in high school, yada, yada. Says, high school looks really good from up here.
Yeah.
Which is a great line because I'm like, from where he is not on the stage, but as in where he's in life.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which it was interesting because everybody was sucking up to him. Now, billionaire or whatever.
Yeah.
Super rich dude.
There's another great line about high school being the best time of your life.
Yeah, it was not so for me.
Well, not for anybody.
No.
Only if you were in a movie was it maybe the best time of your life.
Yeah, I think I know some people who high school might have been the best times of their lives. But, we won't comment on it.
Yes.
But
not anyone in this room.
I distinctly remember when I was in 8th grade. When I was in 8th grade, I went to go visit the high school and for the tours like you're supposed to do. And they even said, this will be the best 4 years of your life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I remember even thinking, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
There is one really interesting visual that I want to talk about. That is the balloon. So at party or at the reunion, there are a shit ton of balloons all over the place.
Mylar, shiny balloon.
Yep. And when we jump to the past, Peggy Sue wakes up after having given blood. Her and her two friends are in the hallway, and there's a specific shot where Peggy Sue looks up, and there is a balloon, single Mylar balloon, floating through the hallway. Where it came from, Who knows?
Huh.
But
Okay.
I'm wondering if that's the memory.
That's the dream part.
Yeah.
Which, again,
Overlap.
I think it's a dream. That's why the grandparents believe her right away. They're nice and they're supportive. They go to the crazy Elk Lodge thing, whatever, the cult place, and they say, oh, it was founded by time travelers, so we've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then all that stuff happens, and then that's when she gets the locket from Charlie and then goes back. But the thing is, though, if it was a dream, I'm going to talk about this now. At the end, so during the dream or in the past, actually, sorry, beginning of the movie, there was a track guy named Michael something or other, and he's the one that she had a crush with, and she even said, Michael Fitzsimmons. And she even said, back in high school, I would have let him do anything he wanted. I would have taken him to bed anytime he wanted or let him do anything he wanted to me.
Yeah.
And then, so then when she goes back in time, she actually does end up sleeping with him, and that creates a strife and whatever. So when she later on breaks up with him or parts ways with him, she says, write about this stuff. And then at the end of the movie, he dedicates his book to her. That's the only thing that kind of links the two together.
To my name?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, to Peggy Sue.
Yeah. That's the only thing that links the two together to where it's not a dream, which is weird. If that wasn't there, this could have very well have just been a dream. She's learned a lesson. She's gotten stronger for it, whatever, and then moved on or whatever. But that was the weird
It's
thing.
the stopwatch, or it's the watch.
I thought it was a penny. Was it a penny in Summer in Time?
It was spoiler. It's a penny, but no, the watch is like the thing that you talk about after the fact. Where did the watch come from?
Oh, yeah.
This is the watch. How did this happen? The thing that connects at the end. There is a couple things in this, and again, we're talking about Nick Cage. He's just a dick.
Yeah.
This movie.
Yeah, Charlie's terrible. I mean, he's uniformly terrible all the way through.
He's not terrible. He's a man or a boy growing up as a man in the 50s.
No, but he's a white.
He's a normal white male from the 50s.
Is he though, or is he what television has shown us is a white male from the 50s? Television and cinema.
Look at most people that were born and grew up in the 50s. He's a normal white male.
But he's a white male in the 50s who wants to be Elvis.
Yeah.
And realizes that Elvis is a psychotic pervert somehow. And it is reflecting that in his own performance and behavior. He is like the king before the world knew what the king was.
I guess
This is what living with Elvis almost certainly was like, other than he was probably totally incoherent more of the time.
Clank, did you know that Elvis was a natural blonde? Did you know that? If you didn't.
Actually, no. He dyed his hair black later on because it looked better. But he was a blonde. Well, he was blonde when he was younger. Yeah. Then when he grew up more, he got darker.
So there's a
trying to outstep me with Elvis. What's wrong with you?
There's a whole bunch of stuff in this with if you can read beneath the movie itself about how Nick Cage behaved and some of that issue with Kathleen Turner, yada yada.
Wait, what?
He sued her later on for some libelous statement she made in her biography, I think.
Really?
About him on this movie.
Yeah, I think he was successful.
Yeah,
suing her.
Yeah.
It was just stuff she couldn't prove.
She said that he got arrested for drunk driving twice, that he stole an animal or some nonsense, but
that he was pretty much totally out of control.
But he was Nick Cage,
which he obviously was totally out of control in this movie. It's just not necessarily in that way.
I think
he might have used colorful metaphors to describe how he engaged with the world.
Are we going to talk about Nick Cage now? Do you want to talk about Nick Cage?
Well, so yeah, because here we go. Nick Cage himself said that he was playing the role as Jerry Lewis on psychedelics.
Oh my, that's not
just not a good artistic choice. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, hey, Nicholas, if you're listening to this, that was not a good artistic choice. Think about your life. Think about your choice. What kind of world are you leaving for little Kal-El, Jor-El, in screwing the world up this way?
I'm kind of glad they didn't come out with that movie, but then I also heard that they're going to probably push for that movie now. Anyways, I have written down,
If it makes DC dirt, I'll watch it all the time.
Yeah.
I have in my notes, Nick Cage is amazing in this, and then right after that, Nick Cage is horrible in this.
Yeah.
Because that's what this is.
Nick Cage, good or bad?
It's, yes.
Go on, Hobbit.
It's just, wow.
But this is the perfect movie for this too, because he's not as the love interest. Is he the love interest? But it's interesting. But he's not actually that important to the story that he gets to screw it up. And if I were Coppola, I would have fired his ass. I mean, for this movie in particular, he does not match this movie at all.
He does, because Charlie's terrible. Yeah, but
Charlie's deeply weird. He almost murders her.
That scene's fucked up. Yeah.
which one was this?
He is taking a pillow and put it over her head. He actually puts it over her head.
That's just Charlie be Charlie. Come on now.
See, I don't know whether the movie was trying to play that as funny or whether we're supposed to realize the end of this movie is total horseshit and she needs to run.
But if it's a dream that she's having about how she thinks he thinks, it does make it a little bit different.
He's weird. But if he had been weirder in the past and then, I don't know, somewhat like a natural human in the process, maybe that would have worked.
Well, so you see him, he doesn't, you don't see him being told that she was seen with that Mike guy, the writer guy. So you see him in a scene where he sneaks up with his arms out hands out like he's Dracula.
All right, so moment. Let's talk about Nick Cage sneaking up. So he is sneaking along, and of course, podcasts, perfect medium to demonstrate.
Yes.
So he is walking along,
T-Rex arms.
very specific, almost like T-Rex arms, but he's wiggling his fingers like it makes him invisible.
Jasper.
It is very literally like he decided he was going to try to one-up John Belushi and his sneaking scene.
The fucking ass.
So he sneaks into the bedroom, though, and we don't know his intentions. We think, he doesn't know. He's going to go up there and, try and make out with her or whatever. So then he grabs the pillow and kind of tells us his intentions that is very obvious. Wait, I saw that as he played this like a moody teenager. Like, he's the only one that I believe was a teenager. Everybody else was just an older person trying to be a teenager.
Now that I'll agree with. I guess I did know some folks who were like this.
Yeah.
Luckily, they did not try strangling it. Smothering. Let's not malign Charlie.
But I saw that as he thought about doing it as if he's not going to do it.
Because he's got the pillow.
But he's going to do it, yeah. But he's like, no, I'm not going to do this, but I really want to because, and then that's when they go down to the basement and yell.
And
nobody cares.
Yeah. It's the 60s. Who cares? So no one's paying attention to that.
But isn't Charlie really every male from the 80s? Like, his whole value is based on his possession of things and not being able to deal with rejection.
Oh, yeah. But the issue here is how much is that movie showing that as, Charlie, and how much of this movie is, wow, Charlie, it's really bad.
I think, if anything, because Coppola likes to talk about things in his movies, like a message.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's trying to tell people, hey, don't do this.
Well,
Don't be a good old boy.
Right? That's very interesting because one of the first scenes back in time where they're all doing the outside lunch together.
Which is amazing. I love schools and movies.
Yeah.
The outside lunch.
We should do a whole season on schools, movies about school.
Yes. We should do that.
That'd be a great idea. Totally unprecedented.
They're sitting, guys at one table, girls at another table, and they are using lines from the Honeymooners.
Why I oughta.
Yeah. To like threaten or whatever it is. Like, it's
Yeah, the why iota is pretty much I'm going to beat my wife, hurt my wife, because it was malofted.
When was the honeymooners?
That was like in the 50s, like 50s.
So again, I think.
But then other people didn't understand the reference, and I'm like, how do you not? This has been out for 6 years.
I think Coppola this is kind of that reverse. Hey, the 50s maybe weren't as great as you thought, right?
Unless you were upper middle class whites.
Well, but even then, the Edsel, the honeymooners thing, there's little subtle parts. There's another
Criticism here.
another really interesting scene.
The mom
The mom.
with the appraiser.
Yes. What was going on there? So the Peggy Sue comes in, and this is midway through the film. Peggy Sue's mom is sitting there with a jewelry appraiser who's basically going to take in some of her jewelry to have it appraised.
Yes.
Peggy Sue hears parts of that conversation. They walk into the kitchen, sit down, and Peggy Sue's mom deflects and says that he's a pollster
Because she wants to vote Democrat.
because she wants to vote for what?
Yeah.
So there's a whole, well, not a whole bunch. There's a few little pricks, that part of the pun, that she's not satisfied with her husband or something's going on there. And so she's leaning into like, hey, Peggy Sue, don't make the same mistakes.
And we know that her dad makes bad decisions because of the Edsel. And again, you always do stuff like this that she says at that point. I think I interpreted that perhaps a little bit more neutrally.
I don't know the biz, but there's like, and that's where I'm going to say the whole this is not a movie type thing, because movies traditionally tend to just beat you over the head with Captain Obvious type things.
Okay.
That was subtle. Her Peggy Sue's sister and that relationship was very subtle.
Played by Sofia Coppola, who a lot of people slag on because of The Godfather Part 3, which I still haven't seen because of the people slagging on Sofia Coppola.
I love it.
I'm going to see it at some point.
Yeah.
But I legitimately love Marie Antoinette. I mean, she's paid her dues, and she actually does a pretty good job in this. I mean, she's a kid's sister. I mean, there's not that much to do.
But it's not even set up early on. Were they estranged? Did she die? But like, as soon as
He's so happy to see me.
Well, and that's what happens to her mom too, but not so much her dad.
she's also very happy to sing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Or whatever that is.
Yeah. It was the national anthem.
No, it wasn't the national anthem. What's it? I wanted to say it was America the Beautiful, but
My country, 'tis.
it's My Country, 'Tis America.
Americans.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
What, remember my patriotic songs? But so makes standard, the one I required by law to know.
But I was like, she was so excited about these things, and it was weird because we didn't really get anything that told us why, connected either premonition or flashback or reference back in the story about any of those things.
I think I took the Pledge of Allegiance, the song at the beginning, to the flag one because earlier in the day when she was eating breakfast, her mom asked, did Charlie and you break up? She said, kind of. And they go, well, what was it about? She said, house payments. Because it was about the divorce.
Yeah.
So then later on, she's in school and she doesn't have to. She's a kid. She doesn't have to care about anything. There's nothing there.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. She was just like, I did this every day as a kid. I'm going to nail it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again.
I don't care what people think. I'm going to do this and be me, which would be, I think, what most of us, like when I went back to college, right? The first time through college, didn't ask any questions, do anything because I didn't want to look like an idiot in front of everybody else. When I went back 5 years later, didn't care. I was trying to actually get something out of it, so I participated fully, right?
Yeah.
I was the Jeff Winger.
Yep.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Anyways. So my answer before of if I went back in time, I would enjoy my youth is what she does. She actually regresses too. When they're at the party later on and Charlie and his band is up there doing a doo-wop song. She's like really getting into it. Oh, he's hiding and going, all that stuff.
That leads to one of the dark truths of this movie. And that is, on the scale of poet and musician, for amount of pussy acquired, I have to report to you all very sadly, the poet is considerably lower than musician.
I think that's a dub. It wasn't a dub of being and to be clear, you can't be a lute player or ukulele player. Oh,
no.
ukulele not
Well, maybe.
but not
Me and Chap Hop.
accordion,
Dude, do really well at cons.
not an organ player. This is a small area where you could be cool.
So, do you, speaking of time travel movies, do you have the connection to Back to the Future, or should I just give it now?
Just say it. You can.
Yeah.
So Peggy Sue goes to talk to Richard the nerd and reveals that she's from the future, right? And he buys it rather quickly because she knows a story about his grandpa. Was that this movie?
Yeah,
Or something?
your
Okay.
grandfather was blind, deaf.
Blind. And he invented some screen reader application.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think there's a I think the conversation happens there where they're talking about, well, can humans time travel? Can all humans time travel? And he says, well, yeah, sure, humans can, dogs can.
Oh my God, really? That was your connection?
That is
That
my
was
connection. Yep.
My connection to Back to the Future was this is a time travel movie just after Back to the Future in the 80s. They go back to the 50s from the 80s.
It is kind of an anti-Back to the Future in a lot of ways, because everybody comments on how great that script is.
Which one?
In Back to the Future, the idea that it's a really tight, fairly action-driven story. You're not really wasting any time.
Yeah.
This movie takes its damn time.
But it's not a bad thing, though.
Oh, right. But it's just two different ways of going at making a movie. Back to the Future is for doing that tightly plotted, all action forward kind of thinking. And this movie is hanging around the house.
And I think that's the major difference when I say it's not a movie. Back to the Future is a movie you watch. This is a story you experience.
And you kind of wander through.
Yeah. There's one really, really, really dumb thing. So I only have like 2 WTF moments, but there's one really, really dumb thing. And that's the fire truck scene.
Oh, yeah.
They're Richard, smart guy, and her are walking down the street, and she's questioning, I don't know what they're questioning. She's alive or dead.
Yeah.
And Salem witch trial, they're going to go ahead and throw her in front of a fire truck that refuses not to stop, and just is like, a train would have been a better choice, right? You stop a train or press the brakes. And
yelling this Todd B was at the firefighters don't care.
Yeah, that was so dumb. I have one phenomenal quote, and I'm probably going to steal your guys' thunder. When Peggy Sue stands up to the teacher, because she wasn't prepared for the test, just amazingly gives the line, everything they teach is so useless. Or maybe it wasn't there, but maybe it was later on, but referencing that scene.
I'm not going to use any of it. I know for a fact I'm not going to use any of this stuff in the future.
Yes, and then I think she says everything they teach is so useless comes later, but I love that.
Yep. That's direct and commentary on school. Yeah. Boy, sure would be great if we were doing a season on school.
And kids,
fine, next season. Jeez.
And kids, I'm going to tell you this: everything that they teach you is not useless. They're just not teaching you in the way that makes sense to you and how you're living your life these days.
Oh, screw that, Mr. Viatis.
Algebra is useful.
Yes, well, you should check out my class on algebra and business.
Anyway,
it's Pokemon cards. No, we're not. I'm tired of cutting this.
Cutting this out.
You want to cut out all the gold.
We're cutting it. It's out.
No, we have to because you peaked.
I'm late. You want to fold the cat? Oh, I'm a cat. I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat.
Do you, Alan? Do you have any reference to Diane and the Belmonts? They're brothers.
So Dion was a singer from the 60s, still alive, actually, to the best of my knowledge. He is a favorite on Little Steven's Underground Garage on Sirius XM. He shows up a lot there. I think he's even done some of their voice like bumpers for between sets. But he's just a pretty standard crooner. I mean, he was a pretty emotional dude. I think that's why Charlie is so connected to him. He's another one of those big pour your heart out on the stage kind of guys.
Is Dion the guy in the Charlie has a picture of in his mirror?
Couldn't tell. It didn't look like Elvis.
It wasn't Elvis.
It was Elvis.
Yeah, it wasn't Elvis.
It was Dion. It was Dion.
Okay.
He goes, oh crap, what was it? He said,
Dion was a handsome dude, too.
He said something like, give me your strength or something like that.
Yeah, it's really weird. Feed me.
Yeah.
Charge me.
Oh. So, yes. In this movie, Nicolas Cage was amazing. He was. And he was horribly inaccurate for what needed to happen.
You think so?
He was amazing. Because he was a moody teenage kid that, saw his dad drink and chase women around and was a white male. He's not
moody in the same archetypical way that Peggy Sue is. Peggy Sue is more of an every woman, I think, in a lot of ways, despite being played by the incredibly hot Kathleen Turner, who also has a really great voice for being 16, supposedly in this movie.
She's a woman who is comfortable in her own skin.
Right.
But this is not a teenager, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's not a teenager.
Right.
She goes back into her teenager body, air quotes.
But Charlie's the same he's not the bad boyfriend that everybody had. He's the bad boyfriend that a couple people had. It is so legendary that other people tell stories about this bad boyfriend.
And she is so, confident in who she is. She tells off the teacher.
Well, that's the time travel.
Does that break up with Charlie? Yeah,
her story where it's if only I knew what I know now.
But that's not the time travel part. That's the dream wishful.
Yeah. Like she's basically going back and changing and reimagining her life if she would have made different choices.
Back to the Future, not wish fulfillment for Marty.
No, it's not. No.
I mean, Back to the Future too.
No.
Well, he did get to fulfill his wishes.
No, he wasn't.
So it's
Oh my God.
it's kind of weird with Charlie because they do set him up as kind of like, is he a Jersey douchebag, Alan?
He is not a Jersey douchebag in that his douchebaggery is so magical and unique that he is crazy Charlie. I mean, there's just no other category for him. He is just so there's crazy bad together.
There's the scene with Peggy Sue and him in the car where they're going to air quotes potentially have intercourse, where we get him refusing intercourse. That was weird.
So
it was really, really
again, this is a teenage boy thing. Nowadays, if he was a grown man with Kathleen Turner at the time too, it'd be like, okay, yeah. But this is the time, it's 60s, 50s, pretty much, where premarital sex was super bad, and it was super irresponsible. Plus, also you're a teenager, so you have that stigma of crap. Premarital sex is bad, or sex in general is super important, and then she wants to because she's used to it with him, but he doesn't know that because he's a kid. And then you have that weird thing going on, which again, weird thing because he's 17 years old and she's a 40. Anyways,
and he's intensely weird.
Yeah, but he is the one that wanted to do it the week before, and then she said she wanted to wait. So then he's like, fine, which I'm glad that they stopped that because they could have gone full Biff. Like
that is true. Gone full Biff. That is true.
He never go full Biff.
Well, he actually did go beyond Biff because he had to late murder.
It was an attempt. It wasn't an actual success. It was something so big. It's okay.
I don't know exactly what the line was.
Now consensual boy.
But I wrote this down, and I'm sorry I don't have the quote, but I basically said that's a guy's line.
Oh, no, yeah.
He gave there was the traditional guy trying to talk the girl into sex line.
Mm-hmm. And he got pissed about that.
Yeah.
And Charlie's very big at protecting his
mad because she wants to have sex is already the big question mark. The other thing I have is my quote, and I see you looking at my throbbing drill hammer.
I do like the thing that,
dude, I got like 1.5 pages more of notes. This is like,
it's crazy. I
haven't started.
Oh fuck.
Oh really? I don't have any more. I have one more. This compared to Back to the Future again, Back to the Future is more kind of idealized 80s kind of, and idealized 50s.
Yeah, kind of both really.
Where
at the end it's idealized 80s. It's like the apex of like yuppie 80s success.
But so this is realistic 80s-ish and more realistic 50s.
Yeah.
So with this, which was interesting, Catherine Hicks, Carol Heath is the name of the character.
Yeah.
When they go to the reunion, the first thing that her friend, Maddie Nagel, the Joan Allen, she asked her, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" Right away. And it's like, "Oh, you're expected to have kids."
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I don't have any kids."
But she has a Rolex, a platinum Rolex.
Yeah. And then also she apparently never got married because she's still like Jim Carrey's character, which was Walter. Walter gets. And Walter wants, Walter gets is what they said. So it was almost like
I'm trying to remember when Bernie Getz went on his little shooting rampage.
probably after this. But it was interesting because it was like one of those things where she still has a thing for Jim Carrey's character, and then he still kind of does too, but they don't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's a nice little bit of realism because she doesn't have kids, yet everybody expects her to because that's the norm. And you don't want to ask people if you don't know if they want to have kids or if they're going to have kids, if they have kids, because that's not cool. That's what I learned.
That's very.
We're not there yet. I know we're an hour into this.
I would have appreciated your attitude at, say, my 10 or 20-year reunion.
I think Michael gives us that biggest difference. The Michael character gives us the biggest difference between this and Back to the Future, because he is, I think, a more realistic and direct refutation of some of the stuff that came before. His stuff about Hemingway, his Wild Bunch, Brando kind of look and feel and how he plays the part. I think he says Alan Hemingway is the perfect American author.
Yeah, let me.
Okay,
These are among the quotes I wrote down. So, he's a fisherman, the most overrated writer of the century. Man, is he the perfect American author? Fat, violent, drunk. And then we get a writer's life is his work. Jack Kerouac doesn't have to kill a bull to have something to write about. He's out there burning, feeling, grooving on life. And then we get Peggy Sue's response to this, which is one of the best goddamn moments of this movie. She just says, "The young man leaned back in his chair. No bulls would die today." And it's like, fuck you, Jack Kerouac. Which I actually thought was kind of funny. Okay, Ernest Hemingway was also a terrible piece of shit, but and arguably On the Road is better than most of what Hemingway wrote. But that's a really great line.
I don't read many books.
I started watching the movie Old Man and See I fucking fell asleep.
There's a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's much quicker.
Quicker to put you to sleep.
So here I am. Well, I sure hope something bad doesn't happen. Wait, today is this the book? Are you quoting the book?
No.
Send me the movie.
There's another bit of male weirdness going on in this with her father. The dead animals on the wall. He's got that big fucking moose head mounted in his office alongside other animals. There's even a mounted animal's head in the fucking basement of all places. And it's lit so that you actually see it. Like, there is definitely some of that old, what would they call that?
Taxiderm?
50s now? No, like the macho, manly man killing things.
That's what you do in the 50s. Kill things. You're man.
Oh, I'd have to see that scene again. I wonder if it's some kind of Psycho reference too.
I mean, a lot of that stuff ends up being subtle.
Yeah.
Like, they don't beat you over the head with it. I have two WTF moments. The one we've already talked about, that he's going to murder her. I'm just like, that's weird.
That is the moment where I'm like, okay, you lost control of the situation here, Frank.
That.
You just can't.
You can't prove that he almost murdered her.
I think it lost control.
No,
I think it lost a little bit of control before that.
Oh, it lost a lot of control before that, but that was where it was obvious for me. It's like, oh, this is not sending the right message.
There's right before that, Charlie delivers the line to Peggy Sue, "Just cherish me."
Yes.
And then there's a weird fucking, it's a white. Oh, but it's like kind of got like this little cutout. It's kind of like got this rounded cutout, almost like the paper cut, the scissors that have like the little S cut on them.
Yeah,
it's like that. The white, the edge of the white is. All the other cuts and everything are normal. This one is Star Wars and psychedelic.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Huh.
The other thing I wrote, and I think this is when the Michael character, the morning after, the day after, is just in love now and blah, blah, blah. And they go to the bar. The guys are so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, just so dumb.
He acted like this brooding coffee house guy. Like, I'm too cool for school. I'm so mature. Jack Kerouac's the way to be. And then he has sex probably for the first time. And he's like, but we made love. We're going to move to Utah and have polygamy.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget Rita.
Yeah, that chicken. You two, I can write. You two can support me with your chickens. Like, what?
All right, note to young people at home, if you've heard of polyamory, that's not the way you do it, by the way. Not have your partners take care of the chickens for you while you're doing whatever the hell you're supposed to be.
Again, this is the 50s, so yes, it is.
Well, yeah, but folks, it ain't gonna work.
When they have a choice, it ain't gonna work.
This is why Mormonism is crafted the way that it is to go.
Let's not besmirch the name of Joseph Smith. It's Joseph Smith, right? Not Campbell. Joseph Campbell. That's the dude that did the hero's journey. Never mind. Anyway,
Smith.
The band of black musicians that Charlie is singing with, that's the Formations. That was actually a real band, I think.
which was funny because even on stage, every time he's on stage, he's got that gold suit jacket, which is very reminiscent of Elvis. And he had a gold suit, but then I think later on he just had the gold suit jacket with black pants with his nice pompadour hair.
There is a scene, and I don't know exactly where, but and this was my last WTF moment, where he's wearing white pants, and you can see through the white pants.
That's at the end, in the hospital. I saw that. I'm like, what the hell? Hospital? Yes. Like, am I seeing that dude's I'm seeing Nicolas Cage's underwear right now.
Yeah. He was wearing white underwear. He was wearing Hanes.
Luckily, he was wearing underwear.
Yes, his way.
Planning ahead.
But then the lodge scene and the grandparents scene and her trying to escape out of this whatever she is to go back to her present.
Again, it's a dream. I'm going with the dream.
I agree. I don't think there's any other way to see it.
Well, the book.
Well, there is the possibility that they do actually have esoteric knowledge of the nature of time travel, and
I think you're getting
that James waiting around for 600
600 years.
Listen, be careful. Don't give away too many secrets. We'll all get killed.
Yeah.
Dang.
Emeritus for the mob.
Come on.
I did think it was interesting that they did foreshadow that the grandparents existed with a phone call earlier. But again, a movie would have foreshadowed crazy grandpa sooner.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, he's not crazy, though.
He's crazy. He's crazy in a really intensely awesome way within the dream. When I talked to Jessica about this is the scene she remembered.
Okay.
Like she was like, yeah, I kind of remember that movie. And then we started talking about it. It was like, oh, salon scene's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the weird old guys come to the rescue in just this totally strange and unexpected way. I think it's really cute.
And totally not, it was not...
And it also doesn't work even within the dream where they have knowledge of time travel. She gets stolen away by a turn.
But the thing is, though, she took a bus. So she took a bus for a while, from what we understand. And then she took a bus there. She hung out with her grandparents for a little while. She told them everything. They're like, oh, yeah, we're cool with that. And then she talks about her kids. I named my kid after you, Grandma. Ha, ha, ha.
Oh, there's also the heavy implication that her grandmother has had an experience like this, too. She talks about her dream as well. And I think there's this really big potential of mirroring between the two.
Did you see...
She did do this.
Did you see the grandmother's brooch?
I did not.
That's very much a relic, right? Even in the 50s, brooches weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that's from earlier, yeah.
But the grandfather was reading a book about same type of thing. You know, it's like, grandfather was like, oh, I'm reading a book about this woman who went back in time 600 years and this and that. So that's what helps her open it up. Again, dream, because they're both kind of open to it now. So she's like, oh, let me tell you everything that's happened.
The timing is very suspicious.
Oh, definitely.
If it's not it is a moment on the level of magical realism.
But then I love the part too where the grandmother doesn't know what goes on in those meetings.
Yeah.
And then Peggy Sue asked her grandpa, what did she think? He said, what was it?
Parties,
Steak films and poker. Yeah, yeah. And then at the end, when they finally go right to the car, it's like, oh, let's get the cards out.
Laughed my ass.
And again, that's the dream part because they're automatically okay with her being a time traveler. Nobody's like, what? They automatically know the ritual to send her back.
And of course it worked.
Charlie,
don't play cards.
yeah. Charlie randomly shows up in a place where I'm guessing he might know about, but shouldn't. Yeah, they've been going out for 2 years, but still, like,
he's stalking her. But anyway, continue.
yeah, but
I mean, love is a
she took a bus for a long time, so that means that he must have left almost right after her to get there at a certain time to magically take her at that specific moment, and then take her into the greenhouse to where he can give her the locket, and then everything's hunky dory. Again, that's the dream part for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I even think that the book and the citation, or not the citation, what do they call that? Dedication. I even think, I don't want to explain it away, but it could be explained away. It's told at the very beginning that Peggy Sue was one of the only people that was nice to Richard.
Well, no, but Richard's not the one who wrote the book. It's
I know, but I'm saying that in my head is like she was kind of that nice person to everybody and could have, without actually knowing it, been something that magical character.
Yeah, like a crush on him or some shit. So
yeah, that's true. Because if it
was a writer, they do that kind of
stuff.
I mean, not that I know from
But and so I was gonna say it.
Well, the moral of the story, in my not so humble opinion, is you can't change anything. She doesn't actually change anything that we see.
It does her attitude change?
I don't.
Yes.
Does she change?
Grows as a person.
Does she adjust her way of perceiving her world, and then is the change?
Yes.
Is she not a flat character in the way that just about everybody?
How does she change?
She invites her almost divorced ex-husband to a dinner on Sunday. So she kind of not forgives him, but she's on the road to forgiveness. Whereas at the very beginning, she did not want to have anything to do with him.
Right.
And I can't imagine why.
But she still loved him, though. I think at the very beginning, you can tell because his presence would not have had that impact on her if she didn't still have feelings.
Right. We know it's got to be complicated, and of course, the presence of the kids is the other complication. Again, that's sort of how the movie cheats. Because again, even if she really did have second thoughts, I'm not going to give up those. I'm not going to give up Helen Hunt for crying out loud. I can't be deprived of my future new wave girlfriend for crying out loud.
So, that's what it was. If it weren't a dream, then you would think that Charlie would have not gone with Janet, because I know it's the whole.
There's no way Charlie would have gone with Janet.
Who is Janet again?
Janet is his mistress.
Right.
Younger mistress? No, we never.
Okay. I know wherever.
The line that I quoted earlier, she thought the Big Bopper was a hamburger, is a precursor of a lot of the really, really heavy criticisms of how, well, everybody really, but I think the people that started getting criticized, because I've seen this more recently in Gen X too, but baby boomers having this really smug attitude about their own pop culture. Like, she thought Big Bopper was a hamburger. Well, Big Pop wasn't really worth remembering. If he hadn't died tragically
with Buddy Holly,
or noted for his yeah. I mean, we probably wouldn't really remember him that much. It's this idea that, it's so important, my pop culture child that I'm having sex with, and
Wow.
I don't need to know anything about you because your stuff sucks. It's very much that. It's more of his self.
That's Gen Xers too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not denying that.
That's millennials too.
Oh, well.
And it will be Gen Zs soon.
Oh, yeah. Everybody does.
I know.
Just, to be fair, They get shit on a lot. So again, baby boomers, again, you were just the ones who originated it. We all do it now. You're not uniquely evil. We're all.
Did you guys recognize, and I didn't, so I'm hoping that you did some research, the first Fingerbird guy in the...
All right, so that made me think.
Hold on, stop, time out. Are you going to give away more secrets? Because if you are, I don't want to die.
They are no secrets. You could actually see pictures of Crowley making these hand signs. So in the OTO, there are some hand signs you do. One of them, and I cannot remember the names of them, which is why I never got beyond the 0 degree, the girlfriend degree. So wait. It's the degree you get so you can go to their stuff.
Do you have to pay for it, like Scientology?
I don't remember if I had to pay for it or not. I know I have to pay. I should be paying. But anyway,
So there was one sign, and you could see Crowley. There's a famous picture of him doing this.
Okay, that's great for audio, by the way.
He's got his hands at the side of his head, and his thumbs are slightly extended. They almost look like kind of ears.
Or horns.
Yeah, they're horns. But so the butterfly sign that they made.
On their noses.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. But it's exactly the kind of thing that you do as part of one of these organizations. It's really kind of fun. And again, I do find myself wondering if the screenwriter or somebody who was attached to this actually either had like a relative who was in one of these organizations, or heaven forbid had been in one of these organizations, to kind of know like the weird stuff that they get up to. This is a lot better than like, I don't know, like people making fun of the Shriners or something like that. This actually shows a depth of detail, I think, that is really interesting. I thought it was really, really nice.
If anybody out there has
totally harmless.
If anybody out there has as part of an occult or some sort of secret society, and you want to spill
At least one of our listeners
spill the beans, you're more than welcome to go to our Facebook page and say what you have experienced.
Or you could donate a huge pile of money to us on Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon.
We will have a Patreon. That's
Damn it.
So in the future, we will have a Patreon.
If you're still here, that means you must like us a little bit. You can subscribe to us through the Anchor platform and donate that way.
And you can follow us through on Spotify and other platforms.
Our Apple views are way high since we're on Apple now. They're 32% of our traffic right now.
Oh, wow.
The Fingerbird guy, though, he reminded me of, and I didn't check this. Yes, thank you. Alan is making the dove fly. It looked like the kid, not a kid anymore, but the guy who played Harold in Harold and Maude had that same kind of like traffic face, but still, I don't think it was him, but kind of that's what he reminded me of. Even I can't remember that actor's name, but even as he aged, he still kind of had that youthful countenance, for lack of a better word. I have one more quote.
I've still got more.
And I'm going to back up for it.
You might get a few.
No more Jello for me, Mom!
Yeah, I got that quote. No.
Okay. That was the Michael, the poet, right?
Yeah.
Rebelling against everything, yes.
What are you rebelling against? What do you got?
Well, that was another great quote. Michael gives this quote, "Trouble without a cause," when talking about Charlie. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got
Lots of, I didn't look. Usually I do look into who wrote this and where the story originated.
I forgot to check.
I didn't, but the script is really, really, really good.
Dude, the guy from Harold and Maude, side note, was in Life Aquatic. He was in Coyote Ugly.
What's his name?
Bud Cort.
Yeah, Bud Cort. He was also in, I think he was in Arrested Development, wasn't it? When they had Bud Cort and Judge Reinhold was doing the court.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Judge Reinhold was the judge.
He was in Pollock too. Nice.
Speaking of Judge Reinhold, as work for this film, I went back and started watching, but fell asleep, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because Nick Cage, that's his first film.
It was not Nick Cage. It was Nick Coppola.
Yes.
And then he changed his name to Nick Cage because he got sick of everybody saying, "I love the smell of Nick in the morning."
And I hope that they watch Fast Times. Holy fuck, that movie is god-awful rotten.
There's a
Do you remember it?
Not very.
during the shutdown. I never watched it. I don't really
know if I have seen.
Okay.
But during the shutdown, they did a table reading, and Spicoli was played by Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, that makes sense. But yes, I'm going to go to the other timeline and tell them to watch Fast Times.
Can we note it?
You have fun with that.
How do we create a wormhole? A wormhole? Science.
Do you want the quick and easy, the dirty one?
I want the way that they do it in Star Trek.
Okay, so that's warping towards the sun and using the sun's gravitational pull as a slingshot to go faster than warp to go back in time. But you have to do a lot of
No,
computation.
but that's not time travel.
That's time travel.
Yeah, but we're talking multiverse.
Then you have to do a transporter with some sort of radiational anomaly that's run space that makes you switch to the alternate dimension.
Just hold a box together and wish it.
Hold the box together.
Not wish it. Wish it.
No, hold the box together.
Like a box, like a little
Hold the
magic
box.
We're gonna hold it. Yeah, here, grab my lunchbox.
No, because you're gonna. No, we're gonna Freaky Friday this. Now, not Freaky Friday this. No, we're not gonna say the same thing because we're gonna switch spots. I've thought about this. I'm not doing it.
Put the box down.
I've been in this situation before. I'm not doing it again.
Have you really?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Who are you? No, you're a cop. You gotta tell me if you're a cop.
Alan, go on.
Let's do a quote review while we're at it then.
By the way, Bud Cort was not in this movie.
What?
Okay. There was another guy that looked like Bud Cort. He was just, yeah. I've got my notes are done.
Teenagers are weird, and you're the weirdest. The tagline for this episode. Peggy, you know what a penis is. Stay away from it.
That's the exact opposite of what they say in Fast Times.
Let's see. What's the fun of being a teenager if you can't dress weird? That was Charlie. Yeah. Save it, woman. Humiliate her. You're not supposed to say that part out loud, Charlie. That's just weird.
Do you feel like Nick Cage stole this? He didn't steal the show with his antics, though.
I think he did.
Really?
He did until Jim Carrey was on the scene. Jim Carrey did a good job at, again, that line between being funny, but also being like, one of those normal high school kids that are just.
But we also have to remember, as was said response to Gens's, immediately waving his hand when they were trying to pick the prom queen, the immediate response is, not you, Gens. So I think that sums up quite a bit. My reaction to Jim Carrey.
But is Nick Cage in this only the caricature voice weirdness that he is because we've seen him after the fact? Like, this is your first time you saw him.
His voice is really...
Yes. Very toothy and
well, he did have fake teeth.
Okay.
He's wearing fake teeth in this. Very similar to another film that we watched in the time travel season. Wait, what was that one called?
What?
Action Replay. I'm not the Jeff. I'm the Pierce.
You're the Pierce.
I'm the Pierce.
You're the Pierce.
Fine.
It's okay.
I am a walking anachronism is another line. I think is appropriate. Wouldn't be a lodge without hats. Hats are my absolute favorite. That will be the runner-up for the episode.
You're the only one that's worn a hat. No, you wore the Back to the Future hat. You wore the horn.
Yeah, I wore the
apple horn. I've worn my black hat, but that's only when I'm angry.
To be Mr. Pukurum. And I think, well, the girl's gone. Let's play cards. There we go.
That might be the best way to end this podcast.
Mike,
yes.
What did you learn?
Man, what did I learn? I learned that I really, really, really like doo-wop.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And I also learned that I'm a connoisseur of film because this is not a movie and I still enjoyed it.
But is this a film?
This is a film.
Is this the first film that was done?
This borders on a fucking pretentious art film.
Is this the first film we've done?
So
I think this is the first film.
back,
Well, besides Galaxy Lords.
so back when
I
I
had an idea of doing a film for the post-apocalyptic season.
Okay. And at some point, I want to recommend.
Is it a French film where everything sucks and I'm going to smoke a cigarette in black and white?
they smoked cigarettes in this.
Second.
Wim Wenders, Until the End of the World. There's apparently an even longer version of it now available that actually left in a bunch of the stuff that, made it make sense. The thing that made it make sense before was a great soundtrack. So it's really slow. It takes forever, but it's really pretty. So that's a movie.
Sense of fit. When I was in college and I was working for the TV studio, I wanted to make a TV show of student art films. And you guys seen student art films before?
Oh, yeah.
They are pretentious crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And one of the films...
In earnest, though. They do it in earnest.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to argue Francis Ford Coppola did this in earnest as well. One of those films was a shot of a balloon in different situations, riding the subway,
That's awesome.
standing on a corner. The name of my show was Benevolent Machinations because the abbreviation was BM. Because that's what most student art films are. But this film with that balloon shot there that I referenced earlier makes this a pretentious art film, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I like that type of thing.
Okay.
That's what I learned.
Alan, what did you learn?
I learned, whatever you do, don't hire your nephew. Just don't. Let somebody else do that. You don't have to. There's so other people you could hire. Just don't hire him.
Who would have been better for that role of the time? Val Kilmer? Tom Cruise?
Somebody less weird. Actually, but not like totally non-weird.
Tom Hanks?
A little less weird.
I don't see anybody else in this part.
Tom Hanks might have been able to do.
I don't see anybody else.
Because he'd be likable, weird, and but totally.
What if Nick Cage would have been in Back to the Future and Michael J. Fox would have been in this?
Don't ever say it.
Maybe
That would be...
Hold on. Where's my dice? We're going to make it up.
No, not again. Clink. Yes.
Other than the fact that you have an unhealthy relationship with Michael J. Fox.
I've never met the man.
That he doesn't. What did you learn?
I learned being a upper class white male is the best in the 50s.
Oh my, how the times have changed.
It's a good thing we don't have that problem now and everybody's equal.
Yes.
Everybody totally equal.
Yes.
Can we finish this out with something that I had an idea for?
Well, we have to pick the next film, but yes, you can.
Okay.
You can have the penultimate moment.
So I'm going to call this Nick Cage Queries.
Okay.
So I have a question for you guys. If dogs could understand English, would they have a better understanding of time? That was Nick Cage Queries.
I don't get it.
It was serious, but it was completely off the wall. Nick Cage.
Nick Cage, I watched this last night.
I thought it was good. That was a good bit.
He's hosting a docu-series on swear words, the history of swear words.
Yeah.
Which isn't that great.
That was it too?
Yeah.
We're hitting flat a little bit here.
It's okay. What are we going to do next
I
time?
was kind of proud of my bit.
It was pretty good.
No, it's fine.
It was my reaction.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Whatever.
So this season, we're focusing on Nick Cage films.
Yes.
Who picked this one?
I thought you did.
Okay, I picked this one. So which one of you two gets the next one? I'll roll the dice.
Don't roll the dice. Stop rolling dice. Every single time you do that, a universe dies.
Or gets created.
It gets created.
So who wants to pick? Who's got to pick?
I
mean, there's all...
You didn't tell us that we're going to have to pick. I mean, it makes sense that we would have to.
This is only like the fifth fucking season we've done.
You want to do it or you want to do it?
Wait, hold on. We did Starcrash season, superhero season, apocalyptic season,
Ashing off.
Grab bag.
grab bag season. This is season 6.
Time travel season.
6 seasons in a movie.
Wow. Maybe we could do a movie.
A real life Hollywood movie.
A pretentious art film.
Real Hollywood movie.
Yeah. So who's gonna go? All right. Ready? 1, 2.
Wait, what are we?
I don't know.
I'll go.
If you what is all right? If either of you can't pick a Nick Cage movie to do right now, you don't deserve to be on this podcast.
Oh my god! Don't do the one I'm gonna do. The Wicker Man. Wait, is that the one with the bees? No, the bees. I've seen it. I have not seen the movie.
I'm gonna say this so it doesn't blow out the microphone. Alan just picked The Wicker Man. I've never seen it.
I never have either.
I hear there's bees in it,
Yeah.
and the bees' knees are the best.
And The Wicker Man is a remake of one of the great cult movies starring Christopher Lee. It's amazing. It is an example of folk horror. It's actually talked about in a recent documentary about folk horror. It's a great movie. It's got a great soundtrack. Everything about it is great.
But we're not gonna watch.
And the hero loses on top of that.
Stop spoiling things.
I'm really not spoiling anything because we don't know who the hero is.
But anyway, the remake, it is terrible.
It's Nicolas Cage.
It's really awful.
Which one are we watching?
We're gonna watch the remake. The Cage season, because if we watch the original, we're gonna talk about nothing but the original, just because it's so profoundly strange and weird.
All right. On that happy note, say bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
That was a long one.
Castle of Revenge.
Dude.